Hey everyone, Dave K here, and today I want to address one of the questions I've been asked most frequently lately, and that's, Dave, are you going to be going to Disney World on closing day? Are you going to experience some of the theme parks over the weekend while we're waiting for those theme parks, or while the theme parks are closing in their last week before the closing due to health-related issues? Or you may be asking yourself, especially at this point, Dave, why didn't you go to any of the theme parks? Why didn't you go to Disney World? Why didn't you go to SeaWorld? Why didn't you go to Universal for that last weekend before they closed for wellness and illnesses? And let me dive a little bit into that here today, as well as a couple of other thoughts and suggestions I have on the topic. So when I heard the announcement that the theme parks would be closing on Sunday, that Disney World would be closing on Sunday for at least a few weeks, I thought to myself, there is a reason for this, right? It's very important that the theme parks close, and it's something I really need to understand. And as I thought more about that and the importance of creating that social distancing, and we'll talk a little bit more about social distancing here momentarily, I realized that not only is it the expectation and the requirement of these businesses like the theme parks to help minimize the social interaction or start increasing social distancing, but it's also my responsibility, right? And I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and I'm taking care of everyone else. And it's important to realize that by minimizing the more crowded social situations that I enter, the less likely I am to get sick, the less likely I am to potentially spread that illness to someone else, the less likely there are for more people to be sort of next to each other to increase that likelihood of getting ill. If you look at, I was looking at an article, it was very interesting actually, someone had posted on Facebook, I'll see if I can find that one, maybe dig it up and put it in the description, or maybe that won't happen. I think it was Washington Post, where it showed the impact of quarantine versus the impact of social distancing. And actually, social distancing having a much bigger impact than quarantine on keeping people well. Now, that being said, you definitely want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. If you need to self-quarantine, make sure you're doing that. If I am to get ill, I will definitely be doing that. But the reason I'm staying out of these theme parks right now and staying out of these social situations is I want to make sure I'm minimizing my risk of getting sick, and I want to make sure I'm minimizing the risk of others to getting sick. Now, another thing I want to touch on this topic is kind of the reaction to the virus and to people getting ill. And I feel like I'm hearing a lot of one or the other here. And one is people are very concerned. And there's a lot of panic. I know some people are calling it panic around what's going on, what are we going to do, and people are maybe buying more groceries than they need, or that sort of thing as one example. And on the other hand, something we're seeing a lot of is people who don't seem to be really concerned at all, and they're still continuing to go to theme parks, or maybe they're still traveling unnecessarily, and that sort of thing with reference to the parks. And that's kind of what I'm seeing a lot of, is really a strong pull or one way or another. And I know that just general social media and news and communication can do that to you. It shows you one side or another. But I want to speak to kind of that middle area. And I think that that's where I sit, and I think that that's probably a good place to sit, which is you don't want to be panicked. There's no need to be panicked about the situation. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're taking precautions and taking care of yourself. So, for example, for me, I'll give you my example is I'm going out when needed. So, for example, if I need groceries, I'm going to go out to the grocery store, get those groceries that I need. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out unnecessarily. I'm not going out to just spend time in the theme parks, especially because the theme parks are especially crowded. If you've seen some of the live streams or some of the videos of theme park content, especially during this time, you'll see it is quite crowded. It's not more crowded, it is less crowded than it normally is during this time of year, but it's still more crowded than I would be expecting for kind of the illness going around. So I want to make sure I'm minimizing that risk to myself, and that's part of the reason that I did not go out to the theme parks for that closing weekend. So it's that fine balance, that fine line. As much as I love going to the theme parks and sharing new adventures and sharing new content with you, I'm also hoping to share some new adventures and content with you here. We've got a music video on the way. Look forward to that. Coming up, should be really soon. Or maybe you already saw it, depending upon when this video comes out. And you should be seeing, hopefully, I'm thinking I'll do some streams, maybe chat with you a little bit from home, maybe some gaming streams in there, just to kind of chat and relax and be able to share fun adventures with you from that social distancing perspective. So it's a balance of I'm going out for my essentials, I'm not being too worried and stressing out, but at the same time, I'm taking precautions, right? I want to make sure I'm washing my hands. I'm regularly showering. You can probably tell that I recently showered here and washed my hands, and that sort of thing. So it's finding that balance of what works for you, what gets you what you need. So for example, again, you need groceries, you got to make sure you're getting those, but maybe you have a solution for that. Maybe you have a grocery delivery service, or maybe you find that you do need to, for example, you have to go into work and work still says you need to come in. Okay, and that's fair and it's understandable and it happens. What are you doing for you to make sure that you're getting what you need during that situation? So it's really that fine balance of, we want to make sure we're remaining calm, and at the same time, we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Now, another point on this, and I spoke to someone recently, and I thought this was kind of a good topic, a good kind of divisive point, which is we're sitting in that middle ground, right? Which is we're doing the essentials, but we're not doing the non-essentials. And my friend told me, she said, well, what about going outside and making sure you're taking a walk, right? You need to get that sunlight, you need to get that exercise, and I can definitely see the logic of that, especially if you're going by yourself, right? Keeping your distance from others. If you're going for a walk around the neighborhood, or you're going out to a very quiet, let's say park or whatever it is, where there's no one around, I can definitely see why you'd want to go out for a walk. It wasn't the first thing that came to my mind, because a lot of the exercise that I do is at home. I can just do push-ups on my own or sit-ups on my own, just kind of body resistance exercise, so I don't necessarily as often think about, for one, going outside, and for two, getting that walking in and walking distances. But that is a good point, and if you're thinking about that sort of thing, totally recommend you continue to go out, or I'm no expert on this, I'm not providing any advice here, this is not advice, but I think you're totally fine to go on out, especially if you're by yourself, walk around the neighborhood, or walk around some park where there's no one else around. I think you're totally fine to make sure you're still going out, getting that sunlight or getting that exercise that you feel like you need, right? So I think that sits in kind of that middle ground of that balance point. Now, I think I sit on the more cautious side, where I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to go out and go around and take that walk around the neighborhood or walk around the apartment complex or anything along those lines, just because that's not something I would generally normally do anyways. I'm not the sort of person to get up and do that sort of thing. Anyways, I'm more likely to go out and try somewhere new for food or go to a theme park, but I can see how you'd want that as a replacement if you can't go to the theme parks during this time and you're still trying to get that exercise in. That being said, I'm not planning to go to any of the Disney resorts or Disney Springs or that sort of thing, because again, I think they're a little bit more crowded, and I want to provide as much health to the overall society and overall economy as I can. So I want to make sure that I'm doing as much social distancing as I can. I think it's a little bit more of a hot spot than I should be in right now. Now, another point on this, and something that made me want to discuss this with you here today, and that I wanted to bring up, is a couple of friends said, hey Dave, if I'm coming to the Florida area and I'm planning an adventure, and now I can't go to Disney, where should I go in the Florida area? What can I do? Can you show us some things that are fun to do in the area that aren't the theme parks? And I think it's a great question, and I definitely appreciate you asking, and I can see why you would want to see those things. That being said, if it were me, I don't necessarily see myself going out to a bunch of different fun places that aren't theme parks, especially, again, if these places have a lot of people around, because I want to minimize that exposure. And I know, again, people have different levels of tolerance, and some people may say, well, show me the natural parks, and even if there are a lot of people around, that sort of thing, it'd be nice to see the parks, and it's not quite as bad as the theme parks. And I think you might be right on that. But I tend to lean towards the more cautious side. So for me, at least, I personally, if I were planning some sort of vacation or that side kind of thing, if I had the opportunity to push that back until things were a little bit more slow, maybe till those theme parks open back up and the restrictions in terms of travel and that sort of thing were reduced, I would make the decision to do something along those lines. And I know some people don't want to miss out on their vacation. I can definitely appreciate that as well. But personally, for me, I don't necessarily see myself going out and sharing a lot of those different natural parks with you right now, or museums or that sort of thing. Again, just to minimize that risk, increase that social distancing, and because I have so many other fun ideas of things I want to share with you. I do enjoy doing home videos like this quite a bit, and I hope you enjoy them as well. If you like it, let me know. And there are so many other ideas as well. Again, hoping to do some gaming streaming. You might have already seen some gaming streaming or other chatting streaming on my YouTube channel during this time. Other videos, again, music videos I'm continuing to work on. I'm writing a script right now, and I hope you're excited for this one. Let me know what you think. I'm writing a script for my 10,000 subscriber celebration music video, and I feel like this is a great time to stay in and to write that script, and I hope you're excited for it. Let me know what you think. What do you think that one's all about? What kind of style do you think it is? But I'm extremely excited to share that one with you. Took a good amount of work writing that script. It's usually, I feel like, a little bit quicker for me to write songs and song lyrics. This one took me several weeks here, but I think I've maybe gotten all the music together for that. Now I just have to take care of recording it, the music part, and then of course the video part, but we'll see how that plays out. But just letting you know, again, there's other projects that I'm working on, there's other things that I can do. I don't feel the need to necessarily go out and find those other activities during this time, but that's just kind of where I stand. And again, I know different people stand in different positions on this. I'd love to hear where you stand, and this is a totally, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right? There's no need to argue one side or another or disagree. I can totally appreciate anyone on any side of the spectrum, from completely concerned about the situation to not concerned at all, still going to theme parks through closing day. You are entitled to your own perspective and to do whatever you prefer. That being said, for me, this is just the way that I prefer to be, is more on the cautious side. But at the same time, there's no real panic there for me because I'm taking precautions. I'm taking the maximum precautions. And so I'm envisioning myself not running into any challenges, not being a risk to any others and getting them sick or anything along those lines. But at the same time, I'm still able to fully enjoy my life and do these fun things that I really love. I streamed on Twitch a couple more times than I would normally because of this as well. So I'm seeing it as a silver lining on a cloud, to really enjoy those things which I like a lot that I don't normally get the chance to do, so more of that gaming stuff that I haven't had the chance to do quite as much as. Let me know what you think of that as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I want to say again, I am no health professional. I'm not certified or anything like that. Don't take anything that I'm saying as official advice or anything along those lines. This is just one man's opinion on what I think is best for me in order to make sure I'm minimizing risk to others, minimizing risk to myself, and at the same time, fully enjoying life. I see it, again, as a balance between making sure we're remaining calm, but at the same time, still being cautious, right? There's no harm to me. I actually normally, always, anyways, overly wash my hands, so I am still washing my hands the exact same amount as I did before, because that's just who I am. I'm a clean person. But again, that's just kind of the middle ground where I sit, in terms of we're making sure we're being cautious and clean, but at the same time, no need to worry. How do you feel about the situation? Do you agree with me? How are you handling it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and let me know you liked it. And of course, if you haven't already, for more fun adventures, discussions, and maybe some gaming and more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay informed. In case you all didn't know, that bell notification allows you to stay notified each day I post a video, which is almost every day. I think I'm going to go back to the everyday. I did test out recently. You may have seen one day where I didn't have a video ready. And so I'm thinking we'll stick with all day, but it just depends how many videos we can get ready in a certain period of time. Keep your eyes open for that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and thanks for being a part of it with me. And until next time, play on.